Hi, I'm Philip Pollitt. I'm going to give you a quick overview on something called TRESA, which is the Trust in Real Estate Act, which actually came into effect on December 1st, 2023. So it's in effect now as we speak, and it's changed how real estate is going to be done in Ontario going forward. This is really a 20-year update since they've made these many changes, or this larger change to the Act, if you will. So a lot's changed in how we live and how we've been doing real estate over the past few years. So a lot of these things have been in the works for quite a few years. So some great changes in here actually that I think are going to help us do a better job at basically helping you as a consumer and making sure consumers are more educated on their, I guess, the role of realtors and representation and what choices you have. So actually, here's one thing that we've got. This is new for us. It's a 13-page guide that's been created working with a real estate agent and things you need to know. So this new guide will go out to every client or anybody that's choosing to work with a realtor, whether they're buying a home or whether they're selling a home. And a realtor has to get this signed saying that the person's received it and they understand representation. So it's actually an excellent guide. It's written very in layman's terms, if you will, so everybody can understand it. And it should really help, I think, lessen complaints, I guess, that the Real Estate Council of Ontario receives at the end of the day. A couple other big changes that have been talked about for a few years. One is open offers. So in the past, we've always had a closed bidding process if we had a multiple offer situation, and now if a seller opts to, then they may disclose the terms of other offers, the prices of other offers in a multiple offer situation. So even if you're on the buying side, so you may get informed at some point that the seller is using an open offer process and everybody's offer is going to be disclosed. So that's a new big change. Another one is called a designated representative. And that really is just to cut down on the frequency that realtors are in a multiple representation situation, which happens a lot these days because a lot of our brokerages are big. And in the case of our brokerage, there's 1,000 realtors that are working under RE/MAX escarpment. So the chances of us getting into multiple representation were extremely high. And this designated representative status is now going to allow us to represent a seller and not be in multiple representation with another realtor from our brokerage going forward. So that's another awesome change. They've done away with something that was called a customer in the past. They said general public found it too confusing. So now you're either a self-represented party, which is somebody that's representing themselves and wants no representation, or you're a client, which means you are being represented by a realtor. So a little more detail on that. I'm going to say the biggest change that I think is probably hitting the street right now is if a realtor is helping somebody on the buying side, that realtor is not allowed to show any house that's not listed with their brokerage. So what this should be doing is it should be forcing buyers to actually sit down with realtors and sign the information guide and sign a buyer representation agreement if they want to be represented by that realtor. So I think it's forcing those meetings right now, which in my opinion is an awesome thing. Sometimes folks only start asking questions or even figuring out who their realtor is after they've written an offer on a property. And in our case, we've always had something called a buyer process meeting where we'll encourage buyers to sit down with us for an hour and a half or 2 hours and go through the buying process and make sure all their ducks are in order and really just dissect their needs and wants and helps the realtor do a far better job at making sure you make a really smart, good long-term move, because the more your frequency of moving really is going to affect you financially at the end of the day. So you will make a smarter long-term move. So this is a really welcome change, but don't be surprised if a realtor says to you at some point, I can't show you that house unless you are a client of mine, in which case you have to sign a representation agreement. So excellent change, and gives you a chance to sit down, talk to the realtor, find out about their background, and just decide, is this somebody that I want working with me, representing me on the buying side of the transaction. So a bunch of new changes here, so feel free to shoot me a message if there's anyone you want more detail on, and we may do some more detailed videos on each of these topics going forward. But I hope you have an awesome day.